Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. We're getting ready for college football. Last week at the South Point, our good buddy Chris Andrews, the sportsbook director there, he had a busy week. He brought out the season win totals. He brought out first week college football lines, brought out the game of the year lines. And the last one that he brought out, we're going to talk about today with the guys, season win totals. A lot of people were there to line up, bet the teams. They put up the number. You can go over, under. It's real simple. Brian, you're a guy who does a lot of futures, but this is one that you're not big on. And tell us your reasoning why, and then we'll go on and talk about what really happened there.
Yeah, I was there with Rolf and Brad Powers the first 2 days because those were single games and games of the year, that kind of thing. But I'm not really big on betting college football season wins, and the reason is there are only 12 games. I'm looking for a longer, I do a lot of baseball season wins, 162 games. I do a lot of the NBA, 82 games. And I even do some NFL with the 16. But the less games you play, the more variance you're going to have. It's like betting first quarter in an NBA game as opposed to the whole game. There's going to be more variance. And I'm trying to lessen the variance on these games. Now, if you're handicapping, and nothing against the guys who do it because they've had success, but if you're handicapping those games, you're going to have more variance in a single game than you will for the full season, which makes you want to play the season wins. But at only 12, I'm really not that interested in it. And plus, you know, it's another thing, you're putting your money up for the whole season, and you don't get paid to the end of the year. So I'd rather use it on day-to-day bets, some you know, first halves, first period, first team to score, that kind of thing. So.
For me, I don't do the season win totals either. I do it for a different reason. You touched upon it on the last thing. You're tying your money up for the full season. And if I'm going to tie my money up for the full season, for me, I would rather do it on a futures on a team where you're bringing back more money. You're betting, you know, basically like a regular bet, a baseball bet, because sometimes they'll juice, you know, maybe juice it to minus 125 or whatever on the over or something, rather than moving it off a number, or, you know, or dropping it a half a win. But to me, to tie your money up for the whole season like that, and you're going to get back basically 1-to-1, it's not worth it for me. I would rather have that money available to use on a daily basis, or if I see a team, you know, that I think, you know, closed last season well, undervalued, I might jump on them early. Or sometimes, how many times have you seen a team flying under the radar, and then all of a sudden, you know, second week of the season, you can still grab them at 20 or 30-to-1. It's worth, you know, jumping on a bandwagon there where you have something to see. So I'll use it there. But I know, Ralph, you're a guy because, and you were there with Brad, you guys from your days at Power Sweep and, you know, North Coast, you in doing the book, you know, the book, you guys are diving into returning starters, coaching changes, all, you know, the blue chip guys that are at these teams. So you know where these teams are stronger or not stronger compared to what the market is, and you guys do see value, and you guys were there betting them.
Well, yeah, you know, I do. Obviously, you are putting your money out for the season, but, you know, if you're hitting 65 to 70% of those monies, it's worth doing if you find value. It's like everything else. You know, don't force value, especially if it's a 50-50 prop and you're going to bet a game tonight, or you're going to bet a game and your money's gone for the year. Obviously, you don't do it. But if you have a bankroll that dictates season win totals, there's a lot of value in them. The reason being is, people look at season win totals and they look, is a team better, is a team worse, how many times, how many games do you think they're going to be favored? But people don't do a deep dive. You know, let me give you an example. You know, Alabama, I believe, has 10 returning starters this year, so people think they're going to be down. Well, Chris opened up that number at 11, so Bama is supposed to only lose one game. Well, Bama's not going to lose a game for the most likely. They're going to be favored in every game. They have one of the weakest schedules they've had. They've won 11 or more each of the last 6 regular seasons. And if you look at Bama and you know their history, well, the last 3 years, they had 10, 12, and 11 starters back. Bama always returns that number of starters. And then you look for a coach who's consistent. Bama has gone over the season win total 5 of the 6 years. Another another top-notch team that has done that is Clemson. Clemson's gone over that season win total 5 or 6 years. So there are a lot of teams that get upset, like you said, Brian. The variance is smaller. But if you're finding those coaches good for the overs, bad for the unders, that win their games when they're a favorite and don't get upset. Yes, Bama may get upset one time. Urban Meyer may get upset one time. Dabo Swinney may get upset one time, but that's it. You're not going through a stretch of back-to-back upset losses, and that's where you find the value with the overs. Same thing with the unders. Bowling Green is a situation where Bowling Green may only be favored in 2 games this year. That's against Kent State, and that's against an FCS team. That total opened up 5.5. I know Brad Powers jumped on it at 5.5 in front of me. It's down to 5. I still think there's value on 5 in that game because you're looking at a situation where the coach is 6-18 his first 2 years, averaging 3 wins. You're looking at a coach with the schedule who has 3 BCS conference games in his non-conference schedule, is going to lose them. Playing his toughest games at home. Your winnable games, if your winnable games are at home, you're going to get those. If your winnable games are on the road, that all of a sudden turns into a 50-50 proposition. So when you're betting win totals, look at what a team has done. Teams that go like this with wins and losses aren't the best teams to play on. Teams that are consistent, either good or bad, or teams that are consistent, have one good year, are much more apt to fall back down that next year where a lot of people like to ride the hot team. So, a lot goes into it, but you do your projections of how many games you're going to be favored against. You do your projections how many teams you're going to be favored by 7 or more that you got to win. You look at how the coaches performed. You look at if the stats equal the success from the past few years. You look who they have back, and then you break down the schedule. And again, it's a lengthy process, but I think you can find a lot of value. Again, Bowling Green under 5. It was 5.5, still currently 5 at the South Point. And Alabama actually opened 11, is now 10.5. I actually like the over in that. So, those are a couple instances with the goods and the bads, what you look for. And I think when you can hit, if you can hit those 65 to 70% because you put that work in, that's worth putting your money out for that season.
To add to one thing that you were saying about looking at the teams up and down and teams that are consistent, another category that I would add in there is look at a team that had a coaching change a couple of years ago. If it was a big name coach, whatever, look at the coaching changes, what year they are in. If they are in year 3 and you saw an improvement from year 1 to year 2, year 3 is generally the biggest improvement that a team's going to see under a new coach. Because remember, year 1, he had all of the recruits from the old regime. And sometimes you're going from maybe a run-heavy offense to a pass-heavy offense. You don't have the player personnel. Year 2, you're starting to get more of your personnel and learning the system. Year 3, it's basically all your personnel. They've had 2 full years of running your system. That's where you're going to see the biggest jump. So looking at season win totals, if everything else lines up for that team with enough of the key returning starters and so forth, and you see that pendulum going up, that's a team that I would jump on because the rest of the public still looks at that team as what they were, not what they're going to be.
Couple highs and lows, teams that have performed well or performed poorly against the Vegas over-under number. These 5 teams have gone over the Vegas number 5 of the last 6 years. Alabama, Central Michigan, Clemson, Mississippi State, and San Diego State. Mississippi State, a head coach we don't give enough credit to. San Diego State, with their system, we know does well. Texas, unbelievably, has gone under the Vegas win total 6 straight years. All 6 years they've underperformed, hence you have the coaching change. As you said, Tom Herman now going into his 2nd year. Kent State has gone under 5 straight years. Oh, to be a Kent State fan, it hurts. And their number's 2.5 this year. It's one of the 3 teams with a 2.5 number. Other teams that have gone under the Vegas expectations 5 of the last 6 years: Arkansas, Connecticut, Hawaii, Miami of Ohio, Nevada, Purdue, and Texas Tech. So that gives you an idea of teams that, don't don't expect them to turn the corner just because of one thing happening for those teams that have played poorly.
Yeah, when people look at Texas, when you said that list, Texas Tech jumped out to me because everybody loves Texas Tech because they score so many points. Oh, they're going to win these games, they score all those points. But they don't stop anybody. Nothing has ever changed. One team that I'm going to throw out that there was a half a win move on, and it's a team that when they made the coaching change got a lot of talk, and people talked about Herm Edwards going to Arizona State. A lot of people think that maybe he's not going to connect with the college kids, in his discipline and everything else. He was an NFL guy, and you just don't see that transfer in there. And they were only 5, and they got bet down to 4.5 already. So tells you that, maybe looking on early in the season, using these and seeing some of these movements, for me as a handicapper, the guys that went in and bet these are guys that really dug deep already into the teams. So it can also give you an idea of some teams that maybe Vegas has overrated or the public has overrated, and the guys see that they are overrated and see value. So for me, I may be looking at spots early in the season to jump in front of Arizona State, learning the new system and getting used to Herm Edwards.
Top and bottoms. Bama opened at 11. We know it's 10.5. Clemson opened up at 11 wins. Ohio State, Georgia, and Washington were 10.5. So those 5 top teams aren't going to surprise everyone. The bottom 3, Kent State, Oregon State, and UTEP all opened at 2.5. So if you like one of those teams and you think they're going to win more than 2.5 games, jump on them now.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be too many people jumping on them. Hey, guys, good stuff and a couple offers we have going for you here at WagerTalk. We do it every week. Every Monday, it's Manic Monday. You can get any cappers play on Monday, just $9. Even the 5% plays. 5% plays sell for $30. It's $9 on Monday. We do it every week. Also, on Tuesdays, it's $2 Tuesday. We pick a hot capper. We give you his best bet. It's just $2. Check it out each week at WagerTalk. Guys, if you like these type of videos, especially us starting to look ahead to college football and giving you some handicapping, not only just free plays, but digging deeper into how to pick winners, do us a favor. Hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, leave us some comments in the comments section, and be sure to share it with all your friends. We'll be back with more here at WagerTalk.com.